Strength training exercises, muscular strength and endurance. What basically we've been going through is the purpose of this class when we're talking about understanding muscles, prime movers, agonists, aka, and also the antagonists, the concentric, the eccentric, the assisters, the stabilizers, all of those types of things. Understanding scapular mobility in terms of retraction and depression of the scapula, neutral spine, neutral head, neutral proper pelvic tilt versus posterior and anterior. All of those things all tie together at the end here. And what we're in your manual, you've got a list of a variety of different exercises. Now, by no means have we put every chest exercise that you could possibly do with your clients. There's multitudes of variations from grip width to uneven surfaces to cables versus barbells versus machines versus different types of machines, how you do it, Smith machines, all the different types of apparatuses that are available. But what you notice is it remains the same is that in a chest press, prime mover is the pectoralis major, the assister, anterior deltoids, and your triceps. Agonist is your pec major. Antagonist is your latissimus dorsi. The concentric phase is pressing up or forward, and the eccentric is returning to the start elbow flexion when your bar's down to your chest, okay? Body alignment, pretty much the same. Shoulders are retracted and depressed, neutral spine, stable wrist, hand grips level with lower part of the chest, okay? Basically going down to your level to your chest. Now, that's a barbell chest press, a very classic movement. We go on to the dumbbell chest press. Notice, even though this is a different movement in the sense that we are using dumbbells that individually move unilaterally, in a sense, or that you can move into independently if you wanted to, the prime mover is still the pectoralis major. The assisters are still the anterior deltoids and the triceps. The agonist is still the pectoralis major, which is also your prime mover, so those are always going to be the same. Your antagonist is still your latissimus dorsi. The concentric phase is still pressing forward or upwards. The eccentric phase is still returning to the start, which your elbows are flexed and you bring the dumbbell down and bend your elbows. The body alignment is still the same. You still have a neutral spine. You still want to retract and depress your shoulder blades. You still want to have stable wrists, and you still want to have hand grips level with the lower part of the chest, so you're coming down to your chest. And really, I would go on to further say more 90-degree bend in your elbow, okay, which we illustrate in the actual picture. All of those things remain the same. We go on to a cable crossover, which is an isolation movement. Really, there's not a lot of things different. Obviously, you're standing different, but it's still the pec major. Now, in this sister, it is not going to be the tricep, even though it is still the anterior deltoid, because we are not actively going from a bent elbow position into an extended elbow position. Your elbow stays exactly the same right here, that bend, as you horizontally adduct your pec, where your humerus attaches to. Your elbow does not change positions from here to here. It's still that slight bend in the elbow, okay? Other than that, the movement is still the same. You still are going to have agonist pectoralis major, antagonist latissimus dorsi. So there's going to be slight variations, but everything else is pretty much the same. Shoulders are retracted and depressed when you start to actually flex your pecs. Now, when you do this, you will come across a little bit, and you'll find it's hard to keep that retraction depression as prevalent as it would be in a pressing movement when you're laying against a bench. Lat pull down, going to be just pretty much the opposite. Your prime mover is your latissimus dorsi. Your assisters are going to be your rhomboids, posterior deltoids, traps, and biceps. Consequently, prime mover being your agonist is your latissimus dorsi, and just the opposite of what we talked about, your antagonist is your pectoralis major. So these exercises are all in your book. Seated row is going to be similar to dumbbell row, same kind of deal, different form, more or less the same, everything else other than the setup is different. Talk about side lateral, some more shoulder presses, barbell upright rows, shrugs, tricep press downs, which we've referred to a lot during the course of this class. Variation of a tricep press down is a rope press down. Once again, a lying tricep extension, another variation. Dips would be more of a compound movement. Barbell curls, preacher curls, dumbbell curls, incline dumbbell curls, concentration curls, a barbell squat versus a dumbbell squat, leg press, leg extensions, so forth and so on. You've got all these different things to refer to. Once again, use judgment. Think about the range of motion of the person. Think about how it applies. Are they a person with lower back injuries, therefore should they not squat? And that would be the case. Are they a person with lower back injuries? Would the shoulder press, which I think is back here, would the overhead shoulder press be appropriate? No, it would not be, because you have a overhead press, which is a spine-bearing activity. So even though it's not directly on the back like a barbell squat would be, it's still above the head, pushing down, which is not the same thing as an overhead pull down, okay? Because the pull down is the resistance is, when you let it up, gravity takes off, it's going this way. If I was to let go of the barbell press, it's going to come down onto my spine. So those things are different, and you need to think about which is the concentric versus the eccentric and where the true load is occurring. So you can use these as references. It shows all the things you're going to need. Here's some abdominal crunch exercises in the portion of the video lecture where we're actually on the gym floor. Obviously, this is where this stuff applies. But you can go through and be aware of all these things. For testing purposes, you're going to mainly need to know the prime mover, assister. You're going to know the concentric and the eccentric, the proper body alignment, such as retractor press scapula, proper range of motion, setup, so forth. You don't have to necessarily tell us when to breathe and so forth. That is not necessary. But these are general guidelines. Is an example of many, many things you can do. The main thing is you understand the science. You understand the concentric, eccentric, understand the prime mover versus antagonistic mover and so forth, and apply it and apply the principles, apply the training principles in regards to when is it time to add a certain amount of volume, when is it time to add a certain amount of intensity, when is it time to change the mode of the exercise. If you've been doing treadmill forever, maybe it's time to switch over to the elliptical trainer or the Stairmaster or the bike, things of that nature. So strength training principles, apply them individually to your clients, and utilize your references in your manual to try to come up with the best plan. Thank you.